welcome to the football show. My apologies, we had a slight technical hitch there. Obviously, we hadn't checked everybody's contract, and the lighting wasn't right for Tom, so we had to stop the show. Ruffy, since he's got his own show, everything's got to be right for him in the contract. But it was just something technically went awry there.
Makeup.
Yes, that's exactly it.
You met it.
Listen, thank you very much for persevering with us on the football show. If you do like what you see and hear on a regular basis, don't forget to hit the subscribe button. And overcoming our slight technical hitch, but always here in the studio regardless, Alan Ruff, Alison McConnell, and of course Tom McManus is here with us. If you want to interact with us, you can by all means do that. Give us your thoughts on the weekend's results. We'll look ahead to the transfer situation as well, because lots of things will be occupying our thoughts all the way up to the 11th hour. Luis Palma signed for Olympiacos on Saturday on loan. Lyle Cameron, it's just been confirmed, has signed a pre-contract with Rangers. Daniel Cumming, a youngster at Celtic, has joined West Ham in a pre-contract. Celtic rumoured to be looking for a striker and a winger and a left back, and possibly Lennon Miller, possibly another bid for Lennon Miller at Motherwell, but whether that materialises or not, only time will tell. And Hearts close to a deal for Partick Thistle's Harry Milne. That's just a few of the stories doing the rounds at the moment. But as we mentioned, Motherwell 1, Celtic 3. It's one of those games that dreams are made of, really, because Jota comes on as a sub after returning to Celtic, scores the winner, Ruffy.
Yeah, he certainly did, and you could see it was emotional for him. You know, he seems to be that kind of guy, you know, that when you're a footballer, when you get things like that happening, you know, it can be quite emotional. But you could see the fans love him, you know, and it's always good to get a good start when you come back to a club. You know, there's a lot of players that went to Celtic and Rangers and big clubs, and it's not happened for 2 or 3 months, but to get a goal right away was good for him.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you very much to everyone for rejoining us after a slight technical hitch. No technical hitch if you're on the podcast, but nevertheless, thank you to so many of you for rejoining us. And someone who mentioned Ruffy, Peter with his jacket looks like a big giant garden gnome. There's and I often say to people, Ruffy, try not to be offended. Try not to be offended, because some of our staff read the social media and take it to heart, whereas now I've got that. I've taken on an approach which I've listened to from a number of high-profile people. I just block them now. Do you?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, social media. We were getting it yesterday at some points. Alison was lucky she was at Ibrox, she didn't read them, but yeah, listen, it's just take it with a pinch of salt. You need a thick skin in this business.
Yeah, absolutely. Hi to Tommy Adams. Yeah.
There's a song about a gnome, isn't there?
You need to have a thick skin in this business. It's quite a long title for a hit.
No, it's something like, I'm the laughing gnome and you can't catch me.
It's an old David Bowie song. Yeah, absolutely. Yes, Tommy, we are back live, as well as the pre-record as well, because you can actually watch the programme at your leisure, and you can listen to it and you download the podcast. Of course, Brendan Rodgers, this is what he had to say after the game yesterday about the search for recruits. My feeling was always, once Kyogo was gone, was to have someone else to come in. So that's the plan. The club know my feelings. They know why I came back. I'm here to enjoy my time at Celtic, not to fall out with myself and do all the things I maybe didn't do the first time. I don't need to fall out with anyone over it. We have to make sure there is constant improvement. The great joy of listening to Brendan Rodgers is more about reading between the lines, Ali, isn't it? I mean, you really have to read between the lines with Brendan, because when he says something, it's that part in between that you know. He's basically, second time around, learned the mistakes of the last time when he basically had fallouts here and there, whether it be at boardroom level or whether it be with individual players. But you know, the lesson learned is if you mention it in a tweet, you get barred. But he does speak sometimes and give you little snippets on his.
I think he's annoyed that they've not got any deals over the line. I think he went on to say that it is possible to bring players in January. I think for a club of Celtic stature and just where they are financially at the minute, if it had been apparent, as Brendan Rodgers had said a couple of weeks back, that Kyogo had wanted to go, that a move was imminent, I think it makes sense that you've got a replacement lined up, that you know who's coming in to take that place. I think it leaves you a bit threadbare when you only have one recognised striker up front for the latter part of the campaign. You have to qualify that by saying that, you know, Celtic are in a very comfortable position in terms of the league. I think maybe meeting Bayern Munich at this point of the Champions League is probably your ceiling when it comes to European competition. But I still think it would have made sense to bring in another striker, and you could say the same about the left back position too. Obviously, Kieran Tierney at the minute is confirmed as a summer arrival. It may change over the course of the next 5 or 6 hours or so, but at the minute there is also only one left back. Liam Scales could play there. Dyson Maeda could play through the middle if necessary. But I think when you hear his comments, he's hold him and himself back. He doesn't want to have a public spat the way we did, you know, in his first term, the Dedrick Boyata situation, and then on the eve of a huge Champions League qualifier, he made it very, very clear how annoyed he was at the lack of signings coming in. I think quite clearly he doesn't want to be washing any dirty linen in public. However, I think you can sense there's a terseness there about the comments.
Yeah, it's a strange one because obviously he wants to replace Kyogo, which is fine. You would expect that if you sell one of your strikers that scores goals. There's a constant link with Lennon Miller. There's even suggestions of a winger, never mind a striker. And of course, there's the conundrum over all the way to the summer without a recognised backup as a left back. Is it just going to be Greg Taylor? Is it Liam Scales moving over to left back? The other ultimate thing that you know about, Tam, because you're a wee bit of a gambling man yourself, is when Ali goes home, does she have to go out and rush and buy a £30 bottle of wine as Kieran Tierney comes in? I think he's going to before the 11th hour. She doesn't think so.
Depends if he pulls an Odin Wengy and turns up at Parkhead. Listen, I don't think it will happen now. I think it's too late in the window.
I think you all heard that £30 bottle of wine there.
Yeah, for £30 bottle of wine is quite expensive. It's not a screw top one, that one, is it? Yeah. No, but listen, I think Celtic will be looking to get players in, but they always leave it at the last minute. No wonder the Celtic fans are getting tetchy and a wee bit angry. It's always at the last minute.
Do they think they need to get tetchy? They're so far ahead in the league. They could win it right now without signing any player.
Yeah, I mean, listen, domestically they'll be fine. Greg Taylor, and even if something happened to him, he'd move Scales over. There's maybe a left back in the youth system that could come in and probably play in the Premiership. But in terms of the Scottish Cup, maybe try to win that and trying to do something in Europe against Bayern Munich, you'd want better quality in there. So. Listen, it remains to be seen that the window closes tonight, obviously. I think Celtic will get maybe one in or two in, but you know, it just depends. Lennon Miller's an interesting one for me. I think that he's not really a player that Celtic need at the minute, but I think Brendan Rodgers really likes him, and I think if there's other clubs interested, I think he'd definitely be saying to the board he's one that I want in after letting the John McGinn fiasco kind of.
Do you think they're maybe trying to nip in there and think, well, if we sign him for this money now, we might, if he comes back in and plays like week in, week out and inflates his fee? Yeah,
I think at 18 years old, you know, I think Motherwell will be looking for £4 million plus. I think maybe you see the potential that he's got. I don't think that's a massive fee for Celtic. I think that if he comes in, I think he would improve at Celtic. He'd improve with better players, better manager, you know, playing a better team. So yeah, I think that he's one that Celtic don't particularly need. But I think if Brendan really likes him, I think he'd be anxious to get him in rather than see somebody nick him like a John McGinn situation.
Yeah, and Don Clark makes a good point. Johnny Kenny would do a good job, Alison.
Well, I suppose what you'd have to say is that he done well when he was away on loan, but you've not really seen him prove it at Celtic level yet. It's definitely an option, but I don't think yet. I think probably the jury's still out on whether or not he's at a level that Celtic would expect.
Just before we move on, obviously, to Stephen Frail and the Motherwell situation, Celtic, in the end, were comfortable. Jota scores a goal. Are you an emotional person? Did you get involved in I think it's much ado about nothing. People getting angry about Chris Boyd and also Aidan McGeady in the comments on it. You know, people can't get emotional. As I said to Ruffy earlier, how can you not get emotional when you were on 190 grand a week and then moved on to Rennes, signing on fee there, and then get another signing on fee at Celtic? I mean, for God's sake, you know.
Yeah. First and foremost, I heard some people maybe talking about a mental health thing. I don't think it's that at all, Peter. I don't think it's that deep. I think it's a player who's come back to a place he's loved. You know, he's missed it. He's missed the crowd. He's went to Saudi. You know, I don't think there's many fans there, certainly. and he's came back and he's got 4,000 fans singing his name. He scored a goal in the last kick of the ball when his second debut. He's emotional. He's at the end. The fans are singing his name. So I don't think it was anything to do with mental health. And the guys had a little joke about it in the Sky studio, and a lot of Celtic fans seem to be a bit upset about it. But I just think people are looking to be upset and offended with things nowadays, Peter, and I didn't see anything in it.
Have you ever got emotional scoring a goal, just a little tear in your eye? I noticed one, the tear in your eye when you hit that volley at Ibrox.
I was thinking, where did that come from? No, listen, football's an emotional game, and everybody's different. Everybody's a different character, and some people are emotional, some people will just come back and get on with it. So, no, I think he's obviously emotional at coming back to Celtic and the support he's getting from the fans. But in terms of were they having a dig and mental health and all that, I don't get all that side of it, Peter. I think that's just looking into it too deep.
Yeah, absolutely. If you are getting...
Crying every night in Argentina.
You will.
After Peru and Iran game.
Yeah, exactly. If it's any consolation,
Put on some.
after the Peru game,
We were all crying.
we were all crying. I was only 13, I couldn't believe it. You just let the whole nation down. But we moved on and we forgave you. Yeah. And we ended up working with you. If somebody said to me, Ali, well, I was a little boy with my diamonds down the side, the Argentina-Scotland badge there, and Ali had convinced the whole nation that we were going to win the World Cup. So the whole nation was in front of the television. Archie McPherson or Arthur Montfort were commentating. And you're thinking, they'll have done their homework in this boy Kubias. There's no way we're going to get beaten by Peru.
I get emotional every time I hear that. Don't cry for me, Argentina.
Exactly. Listen, don't read too much into it. Jota is actually he's a really nice guy. If he wants to cry, who cares?
I agree. Yeah. I think I do think he has a penchant for the dramatic. I think he does quite like.
It's not really good actually listening to you on that, because you don't even like Love Actually. So I don't even know why I went to you for that question. I mean, did you like It's a Wonderful Life? I mean, honestly,
A Wonderful Life. You cannot possibly compare It's a Wonderful Life and Love Actually. Please, honestly. Sacrilege.
So did you cry It's a Wonderful Life?
Yes.
Okay, that's fine. Anyway,
Love Actually is mint.
The Notebook.
I've never seen The Notebook.
Don't watch it.
No, don't watch it.
Don't watch it.
No.
I was flying over to sign for Colorado, and I played in MLS, and I was sitting in the very, very front row, two women beside me, and I was in the middle, and that was the film. I'd never seen it before, and honestly, I was a blubbering wreck for about 3 years. Talk about getting emotional. The Notebook is the saddest film I've ever seen in your life. If you've not seen it, don't watch it.
Is that the one about the war? Somebody goes to the war?
No, Ruffy, that's Great Escape. Anyway, let's crack on. Let's crack on, because if Celtic were happy with the 3 points, Motherwell certainly were not happy the way it all ended out, because, quite simply, they've had a traumatic week. They've lost a manager in Stuart Kettlewell, who, again, wasn't too happy with the abuse. He felt it was affecting his family life. Certainly didn't want to see his family in the stand witnessing the abuse that maybe he was taking, and he decided to resign. So Stephen Frail was in there and obviously had to address not only the result but the Kettlewell issue.
What's happened this week has happened, and I did say it during the week. It feels as though the whole fan base has been tarred by this, and it's not, and it's done, it's dusted, and I think hopefully we did give some sort of connection back. That's down to the players, but it's also down to the fans appreciating what the efforts they saw on the pitch this afternoon.
What do you make of that, Ali?
Yeah, I think so. I think obviously there's a sense of grievance that they feel as though the whole support base is maybe just been found, been tarnished by what's happened. It's almost like the accusation that they've chased a manager out of the club. I think now they really want to just regroup and try and steady the ship a bit before someone else comes in. Yeah,
I think the key now for most Motherwell fans is who's getting it.
Yeah, and there's certainly a lot of names out there. We always say that, that some people say, who would touch it? I'm sure there are candidates in there now throwing their tuppence worth in. I think there's enough guys out of a job. Some good managers up here and down south as well. So no, I don't think it'll be a hard job to fill, but we'll have to wait and see who these names are that are throwing name into the hat.
Yep, absolutely. Okay, Celtic with that 3-1 win over Motherwell. If it was comfortable there, it was certainly even more than comfortable for Rangers against Ross County. I don't know about you, Ali, but I watched it and I just thought Rangers didn't even get out of second gear. They were in cruise
I don't think
control.
they broke sweat at all. I think it was a comprehensive win, entirely dominant throughout. I can't think of any moment of real consternation for Rangers at all. There was one, James Brown, I think it was Egeman that gave the ball away, and James Brown had a shot that maybe just grazed the crossbar. Other than that, I'm struggling to think of any moments of note that Ross County had. I thought, Rangers just strolled their way to the 3 points, very comfortable, could have been more, I think. But yeah, I think they'll be satisfied. It just rounds off a good week. I think it can always be difficult going into a game in the back of a European game, especially like a big game where there's been so much at stake, so much adrenaline going on, booking your place in the last 16. It kind of takes a lot out of squads, and I think sometimes when you look across Europe at teams who have played midweek in Champions League and Europa League football, they drop points at the weekend quite often. So I think they'll just be relieved. It's been a good week for them. They've come out of it unscathed, starting to build a little bit of momentum now, starting to look a bit more confident, a bit more assured. I don't think they're entirely out the woods just yet. I think the jury probably is still out in Philip Clement, but certainly I think his position is far more comfortable than it would have been just a couple of months back.
You think the jury might still be out on him?
I think so too. I think there are glimpses of what Rangers are capable of doing, the direction that they're going in, but I think just the memory of that festive period of big results against the likes of Celtic, but then shipping points to Hibs and dropping points elsewhere, I think is still fresh in the mind. I think it will take more than just a sequence of 2 or 3 results against teams that Rangers should be beating. I think the evidence will have to come from a much more sustained run of form.
I think the Rangers are looking more stable. I think there's a kind of a more settled look about them. Certainly when they're playing, they seem to have more options and confidence rippling through the side. Obviously, as you say, the big games are always the judge on whether they're going in the right direction, if they can win those key games. But I certainly see a change in them. I certainly see a positivity about them. The big question for a number of Rangers fans is, can they get 1 or 2 people in to strengthen that squad? The manager himself, interestingly, have a listen to what he said on the financial situation, obviously with the hope of new deals.
Yeah, we will see. That those are no questions for me. So I'm not the financial guy of the club.
Would you like to keep them for next season?
Of course I want to keep them. I wanted to keep Sima also last season. So yeah, we will see what the situation is at the end of the season or the next few months.
Yeah, I think he's keen not to lose any players. If anybody's going out that door, he wants assurances that somebody's going to be replaced quickly. I mean, if Dessers was to leave at the 11th hour and he didn't have a replacement, he'd be an angry man. And if anybody's going out the door, I think as a manager, especially with the turmoil that he's had to put up with, he would certainly want somebody in there. Interestingly enough, I was listening to the BBC interview after the match, and he said, there are young players that are going to come in, and there are positions up for grabs that people have to grasp that opportunity, and that's the way Rangers have to go for the next couple of years. And that, for me, again, you're trying to always read what a manager's not saying by a comment in a pre-match, post-match, after-match interview. You're trying to read into it, and I think he's just basically spelling out to Rangers fans they're going to have to duck and dive with loan deals and try and pull off the odd nugget without spending lots of money.
Yeah, I think he's been clear that they're going to have to suffer maybe in the next season or two. Let these younger players bed in. There seems to be a clear plan now at Ibrox. Buy younger players, lead them into the team, play them, and then try and sell them on for big profit. They've got the nucleus now. Obviously signed Lyle Cameron on a pre-contract. They've got young Bailey Rice coming through. They've got Raskin, who's reasonably young, Igamani. They've now got players in the team who can maybe get money for in the future, and that's got to be the way ahead for Rangers. They can't afford the finished article. I think that's pretty clear. They can't afford to really go and buy real experience and real quality, bar a loan deal. i.e. a Tierney. So, yeah, I think he realises that it's going to be maybe a little bit of suffering in the next year or 18 months. But, you know, the long-term plan is to try and get younger players in. It's obviously been linked to a few other younger players in Scotland, but I think Lyle Cameron will be a decent signing for them, and he'll come in and bolster the midfield.
Yeah, good to get him on a pre-contract. That's one worry off the back burner.
Yeah, I think the strength of what McCowan has done at Celtic has probably made them go for another young, dynamic player who has done particularly well at Dundee. You know, he's coming in. You know, again, you know, you look at him and you say, is he good enough to hold down a first team place? Time will tell on that one, you know, because they always seem to bring in a foreign player and start playing them instead of the own ones. But I mean, he's got to be worth a chance, you know, and if that's the way Rangers are, you know, for the way ahead is identifying young Scottish players, and so be it. But it's not a massive gamble, but you just hope that they can progress and do what Celtic have been doing.
They've got away from that, I think, in recent years, Rangers. I think they're starting now to look at the Scottish game. I think they were going down the route of maybe younger foreign players, and it didn't work out. Or I think that if you're a Celtic or Rangers, particularly Rangers manager at the minute, you're looking at the best young players at Dundee and Kilmarnock, maybe Hearts, Hibs, and trying to get them in. I think that's got to be the way forward, is scouting up what's right on your doorstep rather than looking, you know, abroad.
Yeah.
Sometimes it can be looking at you, staring at you in the face, and I think Conor Barnes came in and started really well. Obviously, he's not in the team at the minute, but players of that out of Lyle Cameron, the better young players at other teams, Rangers have got to be going snapping up.
Yeah, give us your thoughts on that. What do you make of the pre-contract for Lyle Cameron? Are you hoping there's more players to come in? Of course, when you look at it, there was never any doubt they were going to win the game against Ross County. 10 wins and 2 draws in their last 12 encounters against the men from Dingwall. Interestingly enough, Ross County, their predicament is stark. They're only 5 ahead of St Johnstone now at the foot of the table. We were all guilty of writing St Johnstone off, but Simo Valakari hasn't read the script.
I think it's incredibly tight at the bottom end. I think if you look at it between 7th and second bottom, where Ross County are, it's 5 points. If you piece together any kind of run of form, it is going to lift you up the table, but the converse is anyone who slips now is going to be firmly in the mire. I think it's obviously Scottish Cup weekend this weekend, but the next set of fixtures will be fairly intriguing, because if St Johnstone were to go out and win their next game, I think it really puts the frighteners up teams that are round about them.
I think they're putting the frighteners up around everyone at the moment. Certainly, they haven't read the script. We'll talk about them in a moment. They've had back-to-back wins. In fact, 3 consecutive wins, one in the Cup.
Next game's a cracker.
Their next one is against Kilmarnock, and then they've got Hearts, Ross County and Dundee.
I mean, teams round about,
yeah, February, and then just at the start of March is going to be unbelievable. These games at the bottom end, great games to go and watch, because it'll be blood, guts and thunder. And of course, if he can do a little bit more ducking and diving in the transfer window, you never know. So that's Ross County. Give us your thoughts. Who's going down? Give us your thoughts on who you think is going to be relegated, who's in the playoff place. I mean, we've consistently roughly gone for St Johnstone and Ross County.
Yeah, I think St Johnstone have done well in the last 2 weeks, but I still think they're going to go. You know, I think their best hope is if they get to the split and they're within about 3 or 4 points where the rest of them are in that 6, then it'll put the frighteners on the bigger teams that are above them.
You still think they're going to get relegated?
Yeah, I think they're gone, yeah.
Who are you thinking for the playoff?
I think that's a really difficult one.
I know, that's why we're all guessing.
Well, I'm going to go Ross County.
Yeah, you're going to stick with it, even though Jan the Staggy will not be happy with you?
Yeah, I'm sorry, John.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think St Johnstone will go down, and I've said Dundee all season, Peter. I don't know why. I just think defensively, and obviously it's a real thumping at the weekend.
And you said it when Tony Docherty was in the studio. You said it when he was in the studio. So
Stuart Taylor, assistant manager, is one of my best pals, but
yeah,
it's nothing against him. You've got to give your opinion.
There's the point. That's the point.
It's
It's the Jonah.
It is.
It is. It's his best pal who's in the Dundee, so they're going.
Yeah.
Have you noticed my last 2 guests that I've had on? John Rankin,
Yep.
scudded.
Yep.
2 games in a row. Darren Young, gubbed on Saturday.
Yeah. Absolutely.
All I'm going to say is just think twice about coming on if you're a manager.
Yeah, absolutely. You could be studded for a bottle of wine by the end of the night, Alison, as well. Let's hope your luck continues.
Let's get Neil Critchley on.
Now, listen, I'm not going to go too early because I know there's a lot of Dundee, a lot of Aberdeen fans are sitting hanging on my every word. So,
waiting, ain't you?
Oh, absolutely, I'm waiting. By the way,
You were at the Hibs game Saturday, weren't you?
I was. It was incredible.
You giving it a wee fist pump that Hibs scored?
I'm just. You're unbelievable. You accused me of being a Jambo. Now you accuse me of being a Hibs fan, and people are accusing me of being a garden gnome because I've decided to put this green jacket on today. I can wear a blue jacket, nobody bothers. If I wear a green jacket, everybody goes tonto. Mats Neuster has joined the Dons, 26-year-old centre-back. So he's the 5th signing in at Aberdeen.
They signed a striker as well today. I think they signed
The Palestinians.
Palestinian, yes. They have, by the way, it hasn't made a blind bit of difference to them. I have to say, Ruffy, they were rank rotten on Saturday. I mean, unbelievable. I mean, they just don't have any creativity. There's no fight. There's no legs at times in the middle of the park for them now.
It just seems to be a lack of confidence, doesn't it? You know, obviously there's a lot of people being brought in. They don't know each other particularly well. They're new signings, you know, so you're not going to get that harmony in the dressing room because they haven't been together for a long time. So that is always going to be negative as well. But they need a win desperately, you know, because people are now beginning to doubt the manager.
Yeah, I mean, I'm amazed that you're saying that. 14 league games without a win, 4 points from a possible 42. Even the most, honestly, you couldn't predict the collapse of that side after all the hysteria surrounding their start to the campaign.
No. You would have to say if that sequence of results had come at the start of his tenure, I'm not sure he would have got as long as he has. I think they'll look like a team in free fall. They look shorn of any confidence whatsoever. And it's an interesting tie this weekend because they've got Dunfermline, albeit it's at Pittodrie, but they've got Dunfermline this weekend, and you think, I don't know that he could survive if Dunfermline were to go there and get a win and put them out of the Scottish Cup.
Yeah, this is what Jimmy Thelin and David Gray said on the game and the result at the weekend.
The last day, the window, anything can happen. We just need to make sure we are prepared. We've been really proactive, and we're always looking to try and, if something can come up to make the squad better, or if something comes up that we've got a lot of good players that will attract attention as well, so we need to be always ready to react.
For me, it starts with responsibility. It doesn't matter if it's me or someone else. You have to go out on the pitch and give everything you have in every game. That's about this game. It's a competition. You have to compete. The capacity to compete out on the pitch. And right now, when things are tough, you have to take it one step forward instead of one step back.
Yeah, I think that sums it up perfectly here. At one point, Ruffy, Hibs were, there were 28 points behind Aberdeen. Now they're only 2 points behind.
Yeah, if he hadn't been a new manager, he'd be sacked. You know, like all the other Aberdeen managers who were there for a while, they got sacked because of that kind of run. You know, but obviously he's got some kind of rapport with the owners, and that's why he's there, and he will be given time. But again, it's how long do you stick with them? You know, you have to look at the results, and Alison's right. You know, the Scottish Cup would be a cup that Aberdeen would hope to get to the semi-final or something like that, you know, in a season. The supporters would want that kind of run because they know they're not going to be first or second in the league. So he needs to get wins. That's all it boils down to.
If they get knocked out by Dunfermline, I think there'll be a real clamour to say, wait a minute, this isn't going anywhere.
Yeah, I think you really noticed.
At least in the January window, Aberdeen.
And you would think that may be indicative of the fact that he still retains the support of the board, the fact that they've given him money and funds to go and recruit his own players to come in. But I think patience will be starting to wear thin, and I don't know now if he would survive a defeat. I thought there was you could sense a shift. the last few weeks, I noticed across social media, and I'd be very wary of taking what's on social media as a proper barometer of what people actually think across the wide support, but there was a lot of people really angry on Saturday night, Aberdeen fans, in the aftermath of that defeat.
Yeah, I mean, you're looking for the key signings to actually make a contribution. I'm not sure too many other managers would have put up with Rubizic saying, I want to come off either. Yeah, okay, go off. There's a taxi outside for you, head home.
Yeah, that's not a great sign, Peter.
No.
If you're a supporter and you're seeing a big, tough centre-half who's had a bad start, a really poor start to the game, conceded it, cost a couple of goals, a couple of mistakes, wanting off, and that just doesn't happen anywhere. It doesn't happen in Scottish football. So, that's not a great sign. Jimmy seems to be quite level. We spoke about him at the start of the season, quite monotonous in terms of wasn't up nor down, when they were winning on a great run. It's the same now, but I agree. I think he needs a result for somewhere. I mean, the teams are now starting to close in on them. There's not that massive gap between themselves and the top six and even further down. So I watched the game. I watched the game on Hibs TV, and you're right that they looked devoid of any inspiration up front. Hibs. I don't think Hibs were great, but won the game comfortably.
Aberdeen only need one more win though to avoid relegation. I think they'll be fine. I think they're going to be safe.
I don't know. Where's it coming from, Peter? The way they're playing at the minute.
Imagine they dropped into that bottom six on this sort of a winning game.
I know we are joking about it, and I've taken it in the neck from a lot of Aberdeen fans who've absolutely given me dog's abuse on Twitter about the whole suggestion of other people who should have been maybe.
What was the names you said?
I said
Neil Lennon, Stephen Robinson, Malcolm Mackay. Was it three?
Yeah, three of them all good. All good candidates, to be fair. But Jimmy Thelin came in and he hit the ground running. And I've got no qualms. Boards have to make decisions. Sometimes a gamble. You look and you say to yourself, this guy's got the credibility. This guy's got a good CV. Maybe he talked well in the interview. Maybe he actually managed to get over, a plan that fits in with Aberdeen's plan. The ultimate thing, Ali, is quite simply whether it's Neil Lennon or I suggested Neil Lennon, Stephen Robinson, Malcolm Mackay, because all three of them have, for me, really good CVs. They may well have had failures along the way, as every manager does in life, but they had good CVs. Neil Lennon's CV is far better than Jimmy Thelin's. Knows a player, has had great success. Stephen Robinson's come back to Scottish football, knows it inside out. Malcolm Mackay, for me, is a Premier League manager in England who, for circumstances, created his own downfall, but he's still a quality manager. But Jimmy Thelin, I don't wish him any ill. I still think he'll be able to turn it around and get a run of results that'll restore a little bit of faith in him.
I think he has to. I think at some point you start to run out of road now. What's inoculating them from that at the minute is a solid start that they had. So there is no pressure in terms of their league position. However, if they fail to take third spot after the start that they had and how far ahead they were, the lead they had over Hibs and Hearts was phenomenal. You're talking 28 points. To allow that to fritter away and to be overtaken by them, I think would be a stain on his managerial reputation. It's not the same kind of pressure as maybe fighting relegation or being in the bottom half of the table. For example, I think if you'd gone at the start of the season after really tough campaigns for Aberdeen and said to the support, here's a manager that's going to definitely bank you a top six place, is it acceptable? You're maybe going to say yes. However, given the start they had, they should be finishing third. The pressure should be that they go and they are the third force within Scottish football.
Yeah, I don't see that happening to you.
Not now.
I think Hibs and Hearts are going to be in there for third place.
I think so too. I think certainly that's what it looks like. And if you had to go back 6 weeks, you might have had your head examined for suggesting that the two of them would get their act together and move up so swiftly. But I think it just shows you what can happen. I think it highlights the sheer inconsistency of everyone within the league when you step out from Celtic and Rangers. Everyone else is shipping points left, right and centre. If you can sustain a period of form, you will find yourself at the top half of the league.
Aberdeen are still only 2 points off a third.
Yeah, I know.
It's incredible. So the fact, part of that is the fact that they had
14.
Part of that is the fact that they had such a solid start.
Yeah, but everybody's savaging each other, as you said.
How many points are they off bottom two?
You're not seriously going to put a case for them.
Start what many points?
Well, right
Seven,
now,
eight.
Aberdeen are on 35,
9 ahead of Ross County.
and Ross County are on 26. You're not suggesting a monumental collapse, are you, Ruffy?
Well, what is it now?
Yeah, it's a good point, actually. It's a good point. I'll tell you what it is. It's 3 games away from me leathering every Aberdeen fan that I've kept a note of. But I'm still...
When you're Martin O'Neill, when he phoned all the Leicester fans at 1 a.m.
Did he?
When Martin O'Neill first went to Leicester and he couldn't buy a win, he lost his first 10 games and people were writing him letters, angry letters, and he kept them all. And then when they were really successful and they won the League Cup, they won first.
Yeah.
He phoned them all at like midnight, 1 in the morning and stuff, just to see if they changed their opinion.
I don't want to do that to the Aberdeen fans because obviously I'd be asking for them to reverse the charges first of all to see if any of them are going to pay for it. But no, I'm going to bide my time, Ruffy, on this one because I do think he's going to turn it around.
Well, he's got his striker back now, hasn't he? The boy who was magnificent at the beginning of the season.
Papagui.
Yeah,
Got him
Papagui,
back.
yeah.
And obviously the goalkeeper. I think Doohan's a good goalkeeper, but you need your first team goalkeeper.
Yeah. I'm a bit wary, but it's not a given, Dunfermline, by the way. That's the only thing.
No, I don't think it's a given
it's
at
not
all.
a given. It's a scary one.
Dunfermline have been poor all year. It's just the last couple of games they've picked themselves up a wee bit. New manager, getting a wee turn there. But no, I think it's always a turning point when you lose badly at home rather than like at Easter Road or something like that.
I think there's a real, in terms of the cup tie on Saturday, the pressure is all on Aberdeen because if you're Dunfermline, it's a free hit, essentially. And if you're an Aberdeen player this week, you have a chance to fret about it. You have a chance to worry about what might happen.
Cup shock?
I think it's a possibility.
Yeah.
I think Cup shock as well, Pierre.
Yeah, so do
I
I.
think Aberdeen will win.
Yeah. Kelly won, Dundee United 0, and I'll tell you, if we're talking about teams that were desperately hoping to get a win, it was certainly Kilmarnock, and Derek McInnes seemed happy with the 3 points.
When the ball's coming in your box as many times as it does against Dundee United, you've got to be so good at so many things and just have a bit of strength about us, and that'll do us no harm at all, getting all 3 points. And we look forward to the next one with a bit more encouragement for the players. Hopefully, as I say, 1 or 2 getting a bit closer to getting back. Because there's no doubt, we think your goalkeeper has been playing a lot. Stuart Finlay, who's been my best defender since he came here to the club. Matty Kennedy, my most creative player. Kel Vassell, my captain. Brad Lyons there. And 1 or 2 others. We were a wee bit kind of limited. Any team would suffer losing those types of players at the team.
Those types of free kicks on goalkeepers get given, every week up and down the country. I am quite old school when it comes to goalkeepers. I do think they're overprotected at times, but I don't think there's a great deal Jack Walton can do in that situation. He's got his eyes on the ball. He's just about to jump and try and catch it, and the right arm of the Kilmarnock forward comes across his face, and then the Killie player gets the head on the ball. So, as I said, it's consistency. We've seen goals like that chalked out over the season. This one today has cost us.
Right, okay. Before you jump on the bandwagon on this,
Ruffy.
Listen to what Jim Goodwin had to say. Jim Goodwin just said, it's consistency in the decision. Because when I looked at it, I thought, he's going to blow for a free kick. Because keepers are overprotected. Ideally, when I look at it, I think, is there a foul on the goalkeeper? For me, no. I thought it was a perfectly legitimate goal. But on Jim Goodwin's point, Ruffy, he's saying, wait a minute, they're overprotected. But when you look at week in, week out, that sort of decision goes our way in another game. That's his point he's making. Has he got a point?
Yeah, I think he's got a point. Obviously, I disagree with Tom, and this is the first time in the history of this show that I've got evidence with me about the goal.
You've got it with you?
I read an article, the boy Marley Watkins says,
something?
I didn't worry. I'm going to show you. I'm going to show you.
Have you actually got a photograph with you?
Yeah. Marley Watkins said, I had no doubt that it was going to be a goal because I had my hands at my side. His coat.
Yes,
His coat.
I did see that, yeah.
I'm going to show you a photograph. Everybody.
Oh, wait a minute.
No way.
He's brought the photograph.
I see
Well, I
got
need
his
to put,
hand to his
Put it in front of the
wait a
camera.
minute, put it in front of the camera. This is...
Is there an infringement on the goalkeeper?
This has got to be the first time he's brought the daily record in because
That's good.
obviously
That's
Ruffy's
good.
got a deal.
Daily record.
This is...
Is there an infringement on that in the goalkeeper?
You can get a still,
Wow.
Ruffy, you can get a still of any tackle, any challenge, and you can just your own argument. It's not a foul, Peter. The goalie doesn't even jump. He doesn't get off the ground. It's a great leap for Marley Watkins. And I'm so glad that the referee never gave that.
Marley Watkins pulling the goalkeeper's hand away.
No, he just jumped, Peter, Ruffy.
You think it's a foul?
I
Definitely.
know you would, because he's...
100%.
By the way, can I just say something here? It's the first time in 12 years
Yes, I know.
you've brought any
That
evidence
shows you
in.
how, when I saw it,
You really feel
when
really
I
strongly
saw-
about that, Alan?
When I saw him saying, I knew because I had my hands at my side.
Yeah.
Have you got evidence that he said that?
Yes.
Do you know why you
in your
did?
paper
Do you know
again.
why you did this? By the way, I know why you brought that in. Because on, I think it was ITV2, Legally Blonde was on, and you thought I'll bring evidence to try and win it over. Ali is. I am with Tam. I thought it was a perfectly legitimate goal.
Always got to be strong.
But I understand where Jim Goodwin's coming
Yes,
from.
I agree. For me, it's not a foul. However, I think what he's referencing are the kind of decisions we saw at Fir Park a couple of weeks ago. Motherwell had a goal chopped off against Rangers for a foul on Jack Butland. I think it was very similar. I think that's the kind of thing that Jim Goodwin's irked about. Where is the consistency in decisions? Rather than, I think goalkeepers are overprotected too. I don't think it is a foul. I think it's a goal.
Flying haggis.
Yeah.
However, I think what he's annoyed about is the fact that you've seen similar goals chopped off this season.
The Flying Haggis says goalkeepers are a protected species. They come out with their knees, their elbows pointing everywhere. And
Bang on the Flying Haggis.
He is
Bang
actually,
on.
because sometimes I've seen goalkeepers come out with their feet, towards you, claiming that they're
Schumacher.
protecting themselves. Yeah, Schumacher, that was a classic.
For this overprotected.
By the way,
What do you want to be
Ruffy,
doing?
was Schumacher a foul?
Please.
Was Schumacher a foul in West Germany?
Of course it was.
Was it?
Yes, but none of these instances are the same. They're all different.
Yes,
I thought you might
absolutely.
have said he was
No,
put his face
not
into his
at
knee.
all.
Yeah, absolutely. Anyway, apart from anything else, it's divided opinion. What did you think of it? Was it a perfectly legitimate goal or not? Everybody's got an opinion on it. You might as well jump in there. The Battle of the Saints, St Mirren 0, St Johnstone 1.
Coop buster.
Well, not only a coupon buster, but I have to say, if we're talking about penalties, I thought St Mirren should have had a penalty. Elvis Bomono, I thought he was upended in the box. I thought it was a penalty.
And they're obviously very aggrieved at that decision too, judging by the statement. Yesterday, I thought they had a case for it, and again,
Is it not offside? Sorry, Alison, was it not offside?
No.
Elvis caught in the offside trap.
No, I thought it was a penalty.
And I think the source.
I think defenders are overprotected.
Yeah, he's doing the greatest hits album. Anything to get that gag in. But anyway,
5 minutes late. But no, I think their grievance comes again. It's a consistency thing. I think you've seen them being given this year.
well, so much so that they've released a statement saying VAR should be run independently and have its own code of conduct and regulations away from the SFA and referees. Ruff, are you buying into that?
Well, who the suggestion is the VAR? Who's going to make the decisions? Is it ex-players? Or is it?
A company, just a neutral company.
This is the point. They want to take the
We
one.
have people in charge who are referees who know the rules of the game inside out.
Yeah, but they're still getting it wrong. Still getting it wrong in VAR.
All humans will get
Listen,
it
can I
wrong.
just say
Anything
something
that's
here, Ruffy?
subject to human
They've got
opinion will get it wrong.
Absolutely. But St Mirren, right? They've had 5 acknowledgements of VAR mistakes this season alone. They are one of the clubs most wronged. And this one here, they believe, will be the 6th one where they get an apology. That's not good for you. That's a point, or in some cases 3 points. It's Europe or it's relegation.
It's a lot of money.
Job in the line.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, but the powers that be will come out and say people are only human. You make mistakes.
Yeah, but it's not good enough. It's
I know it's not
six
good enough. I
occasions,
mean,
by
why
the
are
way.
we doing it? We're doing it to get it better. And it can't be getting better if we 6 instances like that.
No surprise, Tam, the Norwegians are actually going to vote in March to remove VAR.
Yep, I think it's banned in Sweden as well. You know, I think a lot of people wanted it in because there was a lot of conspiracy theories with different clubs, and you know, we don't get anything, they get everything, and all
Would
this
you bin it?
nonsense. Yes,
You would?
I would bin it. I would bin VAR now. I just think, honestly, if we get VAR now and we're still getting decisions wrong, what's the point in it?
Well, the point
We've got
is...
a 99.9% success rate in some of these decisions. No, but in some of the decisions, Peter, that they're not getting right, that are clear as day, and they're coming out and saying that it's... Do you know what I mean?
Well,
I'm not saying you should get every decision right, but there's some of the ones you're looking at and you're going, come on.
Can we, or have we lost the point of VAR, which was basically to bring in a higher percentage of decisions getting right, not getting them all right, because as you said, Alison, human error will always come into it, whether you're sitting watching 9 screens or you're standing on the park and getting it from your one angle as a referee.
Yeah, I think it was initially brought in to correct clear and obvious errors. Now I think sometimes it's introduced to look at every call within a game. I think sometimes, and you're still seeing decisions taken an age at points. I think it's got better this season than what it was when it was first introduced. But I do still think there are points where you're 3, 4, 5 minutes waiting on a call to take place. I think it has lost a bit of sight for just correcting clear mistakes. However, I would keep VAR. I think you have to keep it. I think you have to persevere with it. It's not going to go.
Not the problem, is it really?
It's a standard of officiating, and the other thing is as well, it's not going to go anywhere in a global sense. It's now going to become part of the game, whether you like it or whether you don't. I think you would be in danger of being left behind if you don't try and use it to your advantage and make it as slick as possible within games.
I'd like to know that the views of the referees on the park, whether it's helping them. I'd love them to come out and say, is VR helping me?
Yeah, well, I'll tell you what I would like, Ruffy, and this is something we've debated constantly on this programme, and everybody across many platforms has debated. I would like to see the referee mic'd up to relay his decision, but I'd also like the referee to do what Don Robertson did at the weekend, which I thought was actually fantastic. He went over in the Aberdeen Hibs game and had a look at the penalty claim which was suggested by VAR with Rocky Bashiri, who'd gone up for a header, and the way he'd headed it, you know, his arm was up here, and Don Robertson just looked at him and went, no, his momentum, his body, his head on the ball, it's not a penalty. Even after he'd been highlighted by VAR, I don't want VAR to say, we think this. I just want them to say to the referee, come and have a look at it. You're the ref, you make the final call. Do not say anything other than, come and have a look at it because we think this. That's it. Don't say, we think it's a penalty, we think it's a red card, or anything. It causes confusion. It takes away the power of the referee.
I think so too, when you have a quite an experienced official who's on VAR duty with a younger, less senior referee. Sometimes I think there's an influence there. If you come and say, I think X, Y or Z, I think this is a red or I think this is a penalty, I agree with you. I think it should be, take a look at this, what do you think?
Exactly. Here's what Stephen Robinson, Simo Valakari said after the win for one half of the Saints, St Johnstone.
We don't know what team turns up one half to the next half. You know, we're very, very good or very, very ordinary, and that level of consistency is difficult to find.
We need to do that, you know, but football is simple. We have not been thinking that, okay, we have won the 3 games, we're going to win the 4 games. We have done this sometimes, and we concentrate, okay, they will lose there and there, and then we are there. No. We play 1 game, then we celebrate, or we suffer, depending on the results, then we are back to work again.
I like him. He hasn't read the script, has he, Tam?
No, he hasn't. They looked dead and buried, I think 10 points behind a couple of games ago, and they've narrowed that down to 5. I think he's a very, very positive coach. We spoke about it a couple of weeks ago. You know, he was going through the mill at St Johnstone, but you know, the 3 back-to-back wins, obviously Motherwell back-to-back in the Cup and the League, and then that's a fantastic result away at St Mirren. Not a lot of people would have predicted that, so to go there and get the gap down to 5, we're right back in it.
Absolutely. Talk about coupon busters. I certainly didn't think Dundee 0, Hearts 6. Did you, Ruffy?
I don't think anybody's seen that. I don't even think Tony Docherty saw it, because obviously he brought
Ruffy tipped Dundee.
a couple of players.
You're not far away.
Did you tip Dundee?
2 field goals.
No, I thought he'd brought...
You brought any evidence in?
No.
I tipped a draw, no much better, to be fair.
I had it here. No, I was impressed with him against Rangers and some of the results they've had. You know, he's brought some quality players in again on loan, but I don't think anybody saw that coming.
I'll tell you one thing, Jambos.
Great goal for Lauren Shackland.
Oh, absolutely, but great goal from Spittle. And the boy, Elton Kabangu, he just looks at a real find in a loan deal. 7 games unbeaten, 7 points off third spot. I mean, it's just hard to believe what's been happening. But nevertheless, Neil Critchley, well happy with the result.
I honestly, I don't look at the table, I really don't. People tell me the scorelines and I just concentrate on trying to win games of football, and the league will take care of itself. At some point near the end of the season or closer to the split, I'll probably look at it and need to know what we need to do because of the mathematical permutations. But it's just like, how do we get better? How do we improve? We get a bit more time on the training ground during the week, and I think that's benefited us. That's it. We just keep going game to game.
I think the word I would use is anomaly. You know, I've never seen that coming, and for all the criticism that will come, it's justified. You know, and for all the credit we got for previous performances, I think it's justified as well. But you know, that was just a really bad day. It's not very often that I can level that at everybody. You know, I don't put all the responsibility on the players. I think as manager, I need to take responsibility. As a coaching staff, we need to take responsibility. But you know, that level of performance was unacceptable today, and I think goals drained confidence. And I think the level of goals that we lost early in the game, you know, had the bearing on the game and affected confidence of the team.
Yeah, he was shell-shocked by it all. Certainly, I don't think too many people saw that coming. I wonder what type of manager Tony is. Does he get into the dressing room after a 6-0 mauling and absolutely slaughter everybody? Sometimes managers just actually don't go in and leave them to shoot.
They're that angry.
Yeah.
Listen, I think the players will have realised. I think as a player, you know, you've let yourself down, you've let the club down. And as I said, they've had some fantastic results against Celtic and Rangers in recent weeks, and nobody's seen that coming. A lot of people would have fancied Dundee get a win at that game and maybe a draw, but Hearts are slowly but surely just climbing the table. Neil Critchley took a lot of criticism at the start. Was the right man for the job. They started slowly, but I think over the last 4 or 5 games, you know, like Hibs, they've really got momentum behind them. And you look at the 2 Edinburgh clubs from the start they had, where they are now, and you wouldn't go against them finishing 3rd and 4th in whatever order.
Well, I was just going to say to you, Hibs are 3 points above Hearts, and I'm looking at Dundee United 37, Hibs are on 33. Are you changing your mind on who you think's going to finish 3rd? Because you just said early on, just give it to Aberdeen.
Oh, I said give it to Aberdeen, but I mean, unbelievably, they're still in the mix, 2 points behind. But no, I think about Hibs and Hearts, Peter. I think that both of those clubs have got momentum now, and they've got settled squads, and I think it'll be out of Hibs and Hearts now for 3rd place. I think Aberdeen are. I think they'll be lucky to finish in the top 6 the way they're going at the minute. I can't believe that. I'm saying that because
thanks for that, Tam. That's the clip for today's programme.
As you said, 20 at one point, 28 points ahead of Hibs, now 2. It's been incredible, the drop off from Aberdeen, but now you're looking at Hearts in 7th place. You know, Aberdeen are only 5 points off the 7th. You know, from being, people think they'd 3rd place wrapped up. So yeah, I think that the Edinburgh clubs at the minute now have got the momentum behind them to go and challenge for that European spots.
Yeah, interesting enough. It's Ayr United against Hibs on the Friday. Hearts have to wait to the Monday to take on St Mirren and Paisley. And let's not forget Aberdeen at Pittodrie, which might be a saving grace on the Saturday, on the Sunday, I beg your pardon, against Dunfermline. So there's 3 cracking games. Maybe a respite from the league battle, Ali. They can concentrate in the Cup.
Or the converse. It invites an element of pressure into that game, and then you start to flirt with disaster. I think, you know, if they become spooked by the tie and start to overthink it, then I think, you know, Dunfermline might fancy that they sent blood, you know, that they sent an upset.
Well, still going on that line. Dunfermline to pump Aberdeen, I think, is the word that we've got from everybody here. Whether that's going to happen.
I think Aberdeen will bounce back.
You've just said early on in the show you thought Dunfermline would win.
That was a joke, saying it would be an upset.
Right, so
Aberdeen would win.
You've changed?
It was a joke.
Right, okay. Down south, Ruffy, we always look on with envious eyes when they start to, make signings in the transfer window. Marcus Rashford, I think he's on something like 350 grand a week. I mean, but is he happy, Ruffy? Yeah. Is he truly happy at 300? Can you imagine, Ruffy? I don't know about you, but can you imagine you and I went to the cash line, put in the 4 digits, and it said, you have 350 grand available this week? I'd just go,
Can't.
Again, Ruffy, you do that again?
Can't.
You just can't.
Can't imagine what you would...
Yeah. I reckon he's going to go now and score goals for Villa. I think he's just desperate to get away from 3 or 4 managers who've been absolutely clueless at Man United.
Mm-hmm. Well,
is that fair?
Yeah, well, we all know the quality he's got. Early on, we saw the quality he had, the goals he used to score for Man United, but obviously there's stuff happening off the park, but it doesn't say a lot for him, the way he's handled it as well.
Yeah, strange he's gone from a national hero to a villain at times, Ali.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the best thing you could do is just try and get back to focusing on football, back to just doing what he's best at. He's still a young man, he's still got the best years of his career ahead of him. I think it'll do him good to get back to playing every week. Just, he'll have so much to offer Aston Villa, and then just take it from there in the summer.
A couple of things before we go, Tam. If I hear one more English commentator or pundit bleating on about Pep Guardiola and the injuries that he's had to suffer, I mean, honestly, I have never met a group of pundits more transfixed and scared of a manager than the lot down south, talking about their injuries. This mob have spent over £1 billion on players. Most of them would start in every Premier League club in England.
Yeah,
and they've been pumped 5-1 by Arsenal. It's a disgrace. Yeah. I mean, give me peace.
Yeah, they've took a few tankings this season. I think it's the end of the Pep era. I think there's a few players in that team look past their best, ageing, and Pep ball seems to be gone now. Arsenal battered them, and I remember Spurs going and beating them 4 at the Etihad. I think PSG took 4 off them a couple of weeks ago as well. So, yeah, I mean, I still think they'll finish in the top 4, but I think they'll end of the season. I mean, I know Pep had just signed a new contract, but I don't see him staying around if they're getting that kind of defeat.
Yeah, and full marks to a Scot that we know well, Ruffy, yep. David Moyes, 3 wins out of 4 games, and clearly he's delighted with the form at Everton.
Brilliant result. Great performance in many aspects. Sometimes we didn't play quite so well, but by the way, if you'd given me 3 wins in out of the 4 games I've had at the moment, the position we're in, I'd say thanks very much, I'm taking that. But to score the goals, and probably if we'd maybe said we might get a couple more today as well, with chances to do it as well. So really pleased with the players. I thought their performance was really good, and look, they're doing a lot of really good things.
Yeah, absolutely. Full marks to him, Ruffy.
Am I right in saying our old pal Charlie's there?
Yes, Charlie.
Charlie Adams.
The set-piece coach.
What a gig.
Charlie Adams.
What a gig.
Oh, Charlie's a good...
He's whipping boys in all day.
I was just about to say, can you imagine the training when he's set-piece, he says, and by the way, if we take a free kick inside our own half, try and shoot, because I can do it myself.
Have them all lined up in the halfway line, shooting from the halfway line.
Yeah, absolutely brilliant. Listen, we wish Charlie well, but David Moyes done a great job. He's got a long way to go. He's very, very level-headed. Keep them in the Premier League.
Yeah, his remit is clear, and I think you wouldn't back against him doing it.
Surely get down to Everton now for the new stadium.
Oh, get down to Everton.
I
don't know about you, but Wednesday, the 12th of February, can we somehow snaffle a couple of tickets and head down for Everton Liverpool last game at Goodison?
The tickets will be.
Would you be?
A bit of hot cakes, aye.
Would you up for it if I snaffled a couple? What about yourself, Ali? Could you get out of jail free?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Ruffy.
Yeah.
Absolutely. We could get down there with the £30 bottle of red wine that I've got from Ali once Tierney signs for Celtic tonight. We could all just...
I'd have drank that before we get to Linlithgow.
That's a very good point. Thank you to so many people. I don't know what it is. I don't know if you've ever done this before. I hold my hands up. We talk football. We love football. We try and, emphasise to everyone to try and keep their comments decent on our feed on our YouTube channel.
The jackets were getting some abuse.
Oh, it's getting pelters, by the way. And I don't know about you, Ruffy.
Che Guevara, Green Brigade.
Well, the funny thing is, I've got to mention this to you, Ruffy. I don't know if you've ever done it yourself. Ali, you'll need to be honest on this just before we go. This is of no relevance to people who are listening to the podcast because you cannot see the green jacket that I'm wearing. But do you know when you go into a shop and you say, oh, that looks good, I'll buy that green jacket. But then I thought to myself, that looks good in blue. And it also looks good in black. And I thought, you know, those casual jackets you can wear on a night out, Ruffy. So I bought a green one, a blue one, and a black one. I have actually worn the black one and the blue one, and nobody batted an eyelid. But obviously, in the west of Scotland, there's a real problem with wearing green at any time. And they've been giving me dog's abuse, Tom, haven't they? Some people have suggested we should give it away in the competition. Some people have suggested I should go back to North Korea. It's not been a match winner.
Sign it and auction it.
Hey? That'll be shining bright. Ruffy, you get it.
Not my first reaction was the last time I saw it was the Johnny at school.
That's exactly what somebody said. He's like the Johnny at school. It's scathing, but as ever, Ali, as I mentioned to all the staff, got to practice what you preach. If you give it out, you've got to take it in, Ali, haven't you?
I don't give it out, but I take plenty of it in.
Yes, absolutely. You do indeed take a lot of abuse. But thank you to Maestro who says Peter the Janny. Yes, absolutely. So thank you for all the abuse. We don't mind it. We'd like that as long as it's not unbelievably abusive.
We're open to certain levels of abuse.
Well, exactly, because you can't be oversensitive, Ruffy, can you?
I said Ruffy's on the level.
I can't see that. I don't want to see that.
I've got to read all the comments, pure rhino skin.
He does read them all, and he points some of them out in case I missed them on some people that are giving us pelters.
Deliberately leave my glasses.
Exactly. Just remember now, the whole landscape of the programme has changed now. Any opinions that you do have, remember Ruffy is now bringing in evidence into the studio.
That's brilliant for you,
They work.
Very professional.
It was very professional, very unlike you.
You're blown out the water. You didn't believe me.
Absolutely. Anyway, great to have Tam on his last show with us before he leaves. Ruffy's been pushing to get rid of him on the footballer show.
I still think you should do a 1-to-1 with somebody.
Yeah, but by the way, he's even got his own graphic now. The Tom McManus's football show on a Wednesday. It's just him and McGowan and Allen. It's all there. That's what happens, Ali.
Every one day you'll get there, Ruffy.
And by the way, can I just say something, Ali? Friday, football show. She was absolutely magnificent.
Oh, incredible.
And she's demanded her own...
It's funny how... that's funny how on Friday she had lipstick on. But not today. Just an observation.
Thanks for that, Ruffy.
Life on Mars is back.
Thanks, Ali. That's exactly what I was
twitching.
Yeah, absolutely. Anyway...
Celt88 is correct here. Read that out, yep.
Celt88 says, Tam's hairdo takes the most belters. Absolutely.
Correct.
If you get a chance and you want to look back on some of our promotional photographs on our website, you'll see Tam as a Bond villain with peroxide blonde hair. It was the most ridiculous haircut of all time. But nevertheless, listen, we enjoy it. Hope you enjoy the football show. Thanks to Ruffy, thanks to Alison and to Tam. From myself, Peter Marston, thank you for listening and watching.